Hey gang, it's Elias, or Alias, whatever you want. I just really wanted to thank you guys for supporting me and clicking the video. I just wanted to tell you all it really means a lot. Every little bit helps. If you guys like my content, stick around, subscribe. There's quite a lot of you who aren't subscribed yet, so every little bit helps. And the whole shebang. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you really like it, share. I'm really trying to grow and get better. So I would love for you guys to continue on with me in my journey. So thanks once again. Now, without further ado, your video. Welcome in. Yeah, how can I help you today, ma'am? 1 egg and cheese omelet over fried rice. Your order will be with you shortly. Howdy, ma'am. A good morning, ain't it? Sorry, ma'am. The old man and the lady that owns this shop mostly cook up in the kitchen in the back and leave the register work to the youngins. He ain't much of a conversation and looks jittery most of the time, but he's a good kid. Helps out with his mom and pop quite often. Hospitality is a bit lacking today, but I promise you, they are the nicest people around, with the best food around. Is this your first time here? No, my apologies, ma'am. Where are my manners? Name's Elias. And yours? Ah, wonderful name. You new here or passing through? Moved here a few weeks back, huh? Color me surprised. Don't get many newcomers this way often. Most of the time you see folks leaving. What brings you this way, stranger? Ah, it's a work deal. Can't imagine business is booming in this small pocket of the world. Why'd they move you here? You a troublemaker? So you wanted a more peaceful work-life situation. Busy life there in the city, wasn't it? Well, this town ain't much for excitement, and the only thing we got going for ourselves is football, farming, and fucking. Very limited on activity. Think I heard something about a new girl. That's another thing around here. Not much to do, so people tend to talk. A lot. You tell a neighbor, your neighbor tells another neighbor, and that neighbor tells someone down at the shops, and well, by that afternoon everyone knows. Wouldn't let it scare you. You'll get used to it. Eventually you'll learn what not to say and what not to do in the eyes and ears of folks who lose mouths. Trust me. It's a lot easier to keep a secret here than you think. That right. Still ain't got your bearings, huh? Need to make it to the grocer's. Well, how about this? It ain't that far of a walk, so how about I help you guide you there? We can keep each other company, and I can give you a brief tour about all the sights and scenes. That's worth sighting and seeing. Your food, ma'am. We can go after your breakfast. Take your time. So you work with computers, right? Well, I suppose that is a city folk job. Yes, little lady, I do know what a smartphone is. And for better or for worse, I do know what social media is. Use YouTube all the time. A lot of educational stuff and ASMR. You know what that is? Stuff is quite relaxing. Just suppose folks here ain't got much use for all the technobabble and surfing the World Wide Webs. Not a huge variety of things to do here, but what little we have here, there's a lot of it to do. Fishing, hunting, farming, moonshining. That last one's my favorite. A lot of nature to explore here. People here are the real active types, I reckon. What other things? Well, we got a real active music scene here. Since we don't got a lot of events here, we keep ourselves entertained with learning instruments and putting on performances. Sadly, I ain't too gifted with the touch of sound, but I do make a mean batch of moonshine, sweet and smooth. Gotta be careful with it, lest him give a man 4-wheel drive. We put on this festival every year. 4 days of music, eating, and a lot of hooting and hollering. Barbecue contest, chili contest, pie contest. A lot of eating, but the eating's good. My brisket will melt in your mouth and give you a religious experience damn near. There's also a marksman contest. See who's the slickest shooter in town that year. It'd be lovely to see you come, little lady. It's not for some time, but come get to know the rowdy locals. What do I do? A little bit of this, a little bit of that, welding, HVAC repair, things like that. I work with my hands a lot. Not too much for desk sitting. Can't see how you city folk do it. Thinking about it gets me stir crazy. Gotta move my body lest I'm liable to get bored and disruptive. Do I have someone special? Well, I used to. A long while back, I was in something special with a girl from my schooling days. Thought everything was perfect. I guess she had other plans. She done went to the big city several states away while visiting some family. Was there for a month and found herself enamored by all the hustle and bustle, all the glitz and glamour. Found herself a guy there too. Guessing he was exciting and I wasn't. Another month in, she calls me telling me she ain't coming back. Telling me she found a boy in the job. Telling me her brother will be over to collect her things and I should move on with my life. Saying she ain't knew herself until now. Tried talking to her, but she wasn't much listening to what I was saying. I still see her folks every now and then. What little of them are left here. I just nod and be about my day. I still wonder what I could have done to keep her. But that feels like a lifetime ago. What about you? Any luck a fella got you? Well, that is a shame. Young pretty thing like you is gonna be a pop around here. I'm sure there'll be no shortage of suitors. Hell, might be crowned the queen of these parts. Be seeing you around with a gaggle of guys. A bona-fide harem. Oh? What's that orange building over there? Well, that is one of the best eating you can find around here. We call it Chuck's Chicken. Baked chicken, roast chicken, fried chicken, barbecue chicken, chicken soup, chicken skewers, chicken. That's chicken battered and fried twice in their special oils. And I reckon it is finger licking. That little blue building over there next to it. You know, the one that looks like a fancy art assignment? That's the better place. Best damn bakery this side of the planet. The banana pudding and peach cobbler are to die for. Yeah, I reckon you're gonna pack on a few pounds before long. We may not win on the variety front in terms of how much you can do, but I reckon when it comes to scenery, there ain't quite nothing like these mountains and forest. And a lake nearby where you get the best trout and bluegill around. It's small and humble, but I am mighty proud of this place. Every nook and cranny got a story. You only need to listen to hear it. Speaking of, what are your impressions? How's your first few weeks here? I reckon the adjustment is considerable. Loud, busy life in the city. Everybody walking like they got somewhere to be and they gotta be there now. Here, we take things slow. We let nature set our pace. Think that's the only way to live, really. How's your sleep? The crickets have been keeping you up? So, you say the crickets been fine, but something else is amiss. Well, what might that be, pray tell? So you've been hearing the whistling out in the wood late at night. Is that right? Before we get to the grocers, let's take a little detour. Come let me show you to the place. I know how this looks, but please don't be alarmed. I mean no harm. You know when I said that every nook and cranny in this town has a story? Yeah, didn't say that so lightly. This place, this is one of those nooks with a story. These mountains, they are old, ancient even. They even predate the origins of trees. We are talking about primordial formation chiseled in the earth long, long ago. It is perhaps because they are so old that they harbored a deep mystery about them. And at times, you will run into the strange and forgotten. Spirits and creatures. Things who forgot they were something at all. Falling into some stupor and waking up miles away, days apart. Spooking the whole damn town. Stumbling upon some warp in time and space and being there for a whole week. While you say you were only there for a few hours. Strange, deeply strange things happen along these mountains. See, now when I was young myself, just a freshman in high school, I ran with a crew of 5 other boys. Tommy, Jose, Pete and Patrick and Clay. Bunch of rowdy sons of bitches been inseparable on account. We all knew each other since our mothers and fathers took us home from the hospital. Clay was my ex-flame's little brother. 2 years younger than the rest of us. But my God, could the boy keep up. Ain't no one ever saw him as a bother. He was just part of the crew. Pete and Patrick were twins, and you can barely tell them apart with how they would and could complete each other's sentence all the time. Tommy was my next-door neighbor's kid, and my best friend to this day. We were born on the same day in the same hospital. I call that fate. Jose was the oldest amongst us and the leader of the group. Him being a half-year older than us, he was wiser beyond his years. But fallible. He was just a kid after all. It was a particularly bright and clear and sunny day. Warm, but not too warm. And me and the fellas just knew it was a day for some fishing and some swimming. I remember how excited I was that day. School had just let out for the summer and I was moving my way on up to being a sophomore. So I got my trunks and my fishing rod and moseyed my way on up by the riverside to meet the guys. To my surprise, the fellas were already there when I'd arrived. Looking back, guess it shouldn't have thrown me too bad, on account of me always having issues waking up and falling asleep far too late at night. When I got there, The guys were going back and forth with each other. Pete, Patrick, and Clay were talking about some cabinet out in the forest they ain't never seen before. Under ordinary circumstance, that wouldn't be the cause of no alarm, but we knew those woods like the skin on the back of our hands. A sudden appearance of a cabin nearby was quite odd. The guys were talking about making the short trek to the woods to observe the cabin. And from one look, I knew I wasn't going to get any fishing done that day. But boy, I wish we had fished that day. Maybe it could have spared us from what befell us that day. Clay and the twins convinced us others to visit this cabin. You see, Clay fashioned himself a bit of an urban explorer, said he ain't never been no place to urban explore. The cabin wasn't that far, maybe a few hills away, and would be about a half hour to an hour until we got there. At first, nothing was amiss. Me and the fellas were just hooting and hollering, just knocking back snacks and having a blast. Thing is, the closer we got to the place, the forest just felt odd. All of a sudden, the busy sounds of nature just weren't. It was like someone clicked the mute button on the remote, and the world just went silent. Nothing. Not a single sound. Spooked us something fierce. But we still trekked forward. And then the weirdness just kept piling up. As we got closer, there was this electricity, this static. Every hair on our bodies stood just ever so slightly at attention. Needless to say, I was most certainly not having fun. Jose was nervous as well and was about ready to veto the whole trip yet. The boys, Tommy included, convinced him to press on. And so we did. We got to the place maybe 1:15. At least that's what our clocks told us. See, at some point even our phones and watches stopped working altogether. The strangeness just kept accumulating. But there we were, stood face to face with a cabin we ain't never seen before, in all of its eerie glory. Got the heebie-jeebies running up and down my spine just looking at it. We all had been on that part of the mountain many times before, but we never ran into this cabin. It was like all of a sudden it was there. It wasn't big, but not small enough to have been built in a matter of an evening. With nowhere to go, we stepped through the frame of the old and worn front door. Something wasn't right. Something wasn't right at all. We thought our eyes were playing tricks on us, so Tommy and I went back out to examine the cabin once more. And upon stepping back in, we were able to confirm that yes, indeed, the interiors were somehow longer and wider than the exteriors. I mean, it made no damn sense. Jose got this vibe about him on this entire place and refused to step a foot more into the place. So to Tommy, that would become the smartest decision those boys ever made. With Tommy and Jose men at the front door, it was left up to the rest of us, the twins, Clay and myself, to explore the place. Deeper and deeper into the cabin we went. Doors that went nowhere. Doors that led to larger rooms. Doors that led to outside places that looked different from the outside that we came in from. Doors that led to dark places. And then it happened. Deep within that place was this large and ornate door. Heavy as hay bales. I reckon it took 3 of us to open that damn door, but by God, I wish we hadn't. The moment we opened that door, there it was. Long and spindly, gnarled and twiggy, eyes red as blood. Its face human enough, but something wasn't quite right. Like it was trying to imitate something based off verbal description alone. We stood there for what felt like years waiting on that thing to move, and then the thing came alive. It screamed, a scream louder than I had ever heard. And a strange mist came seeping through its eyes and mouth. All the while the place began to shake. If you ever looked at pictures of space and saw star formations with their many colors and stars in the distance, this is what we were looking at. Both beautiful and terrifying. It came closer and closer, and I can't remember which one of us, but one of the twins, snapped to and hit us all over the shoulders and told us to run. Damn near tore their vocal cords shouting. We ran and ran and ran for what felt like minutes with that thing at our backsides. When we finally reached Tommy and Jose, they were just as scared shitless as us. Jose looked at what that thing was behind us and shouted, "What the fuck is that?" Of course, none of us had time to say anything besides to get the fuck out. Jose and Tommy obliged and stepped over the doorway in no time at all. Patrick was right up ahead, and I really don't know what part of me had the urge to do so. And a part of me wish I hadn't. But I looked back and beheld the scene that still haunts me to this day. That monster. That thing coming from that mist. Angry and hungry. We were all just feet away from the door when something happened that would make my heart drop to my feet and my stomach turn in knots to remember it. Clay, for whatever reason, he slipped. Pete and I went to help him and get him going, but Pete, good old Pete, they let him go. And when Pete's body stepped over the door with Clay just behind, it vanished. I mean, the whole thing just vanished. The cabin, and Pete's left hand, and whoever was holding on to it. Clay disappeared that day. We ran back home. We had to get someone to look over Pete, and while Pete was in the hospital getting looked over, our parents came. Something came over us like we went into a stupor, similar to when war vets come home and they recount tales of war. We told them the whole thing, everything that happened that day. To this day, I ain't ever saw my folks look like that. When I looked at our parents, they were afraid, like a ghost done came around and visited them. Later that night, when I tried to get some sleep and try not to remember the whole ordeal, try not to think of Clay, try not to think of poor old Pete, my mom came into the room to explain. You see, our folks, too, had a run-in with the cabin, and added strange stories as well. They called it the witch house. She told me that sometimes strange things happen around these mountains, and that there are creatures in strange places that pop in and out of reality sometimes. That people go missing under very, very peculiar circumstances. I told you Clay was my ex-little brother. I always wondered maybe that's the reason. Why she skipped town and left me and all of us behind. It wasn't out of malice, at least I think. I think she just saw too much of her brother in this town. I always remember his face no matter where she went. I always seeing his face when she saw mine. I don't think she ever hated me. Just couldn't no longer be hunted. A memory no more. Had to free herself. I'm sorry. This was a lot, wasn't it? Well, nonetheless, thanks for hearing me out. Tell you what, after this trip to the grocer's, I could come over to your place and I can bring some charms and supplies to make sure whatever is whistling out in your woods don't come whistling any closer. No, young lady, this is not a date. This is important. Well, I suppose I can't stop you for treating it like a date, but this is besides the point. Point is, lady, a pretty lady such as yourself is needing some protection, and I'm going to supply it. Yes, I will bring some wine over. All right. But first, we must stop at the grocer's. Come on, let's get a move on.